Hi lads, focus for today is on factorization. So I've put together 3 different types of questions here that you could encounter in your junior cert. And we're going to work through the different methods that you would have to use to solve them. Okay, I very quickly want to revise what factorization actually means. So all the ways back in first year you would have looked at factorization. Okay, so if, for example, I had a number here which was 20, how do I factorize that? Well, I look at what number multiplied by another number gives me back the same number, which is 20. Of course, the pairs of factors here we have here, this is like your times tables, is 1 multiplied by 20. Okay, also 2 multiplied by 10, 4 multiplied by 5, or you could also say 5 multiplied by 4. So you can see here that there are a pair of factors, okay? I want you to remember this when we look at our final answer in a second, pair of factors. Because when we answer these questions, we're told to factorize fully each of the following. We will get an answer which is a pair of factors. In other words, a bracket multiplied by a bracket. So this question here asks us to fully factorize each of the following. We have 7x minus 21y. Now, my answer is definitely going to be in brackets. What I have to do is I have to look at these terms and say, well, what is common to both of these terms? I look at the letters first, x and y. I recognize that these are what we call unlike terms. They cannot be, x is certainly not a factor of y, so we'll ignore that for the time being. Let's focus on the numbers. You should be able to recognize here that 7 is actually a factor of 21, because 7 multiplied by 3 gives you 21. So let's focus on the number. You can think about this a different way when you're factorizing an equation like this. You can pull out what's in common to both. So 7 is being pulled out, multiplied by something is going to give me 7x. So 7 multiplied by x is going to give me 7x. So if I multiply 7, I have 7 bracket x, 7 bracket x give me 7x. So that's definitely correct so far. The next thing then is I have a minus. Okay, so a plus by a minus is going to give me a minus. Why do I say this is a plus? Because we've no sign in front of it. It's a plus 7. So plus 7 by a minus gives us a minus. The next thing then is we have 21. So 7 divides into 21 3 times. But it's not just 21, it's 21y. So we have 7 divides into 21y, is 3 minus 3y times. Okay, that now has been fully factorized. How can I check if I'm unsure on my exam? Well, I could do rough work and I could multiply it back out again. So I have 7 bracket x minus 3y. So you multiply by the first term and then by the second term. We have 7x minus 3 by 7 is 21, but that's 21y. So we can see here that it does in fact multiply back out to give the original term. So we have fully factorized. So our answer is 7 bracket x minus 3y. That is the first type of factorization you'll encounter. It's usually the easiest. Okay. The second type of factorization you're going to encounter is this style of an equation here, which is x squared minus 25. Now, always be suspicious when you see a square and a minus and a number that could technically be squared, because this rule is called the difference of two squares. Now, the difference of two squares means that I'm going to have a difference, in other words, a minus, and I'm going to have 2 brackets. What I'm going to fill into these brackets is a letter or number, and it's going to be squared. So both of these brackets are going to be squared. So the difference of 2 squares. So, well, x squared. How do I get to x squared? What letter or number gives me x squared? Well, I would say x, because x squared is x squared up here. And what number is going to give me 25? So if I think about my times tables, what number multiplied by itself gives me 25? It's 5. I have now solved the first part of this factorization process. I now need to rearrange this in as a pair of factors. So to rearrange as a pair of factors, my answer should look something like this. So I'm going to have a bracket and a second bracket. And they're going to be multiplied by each other. So we have, the rule for this is what you do with the first bracket is you pull out the what's in it, which is x, and we're going to have a minus, and we're going to have 5. The second bracket now, actually the sign is going to change, okay? It's going to be x plus 5. Now, there's a very good reason for that, and when we do the rough work on this, just to prove that this is the factors, you will see why that has to be a minus and followed by a plus. If you look at it, if I did rough work to see if this is the correct factor of x squared minus 25, well, if I multiply the two of them out, then I should get the same original equation. If it's the wrong pair of factors, then it should not give me the same answer. This is splitting the brackets. Okay, I went through this in the previous video. X bracket x plus 5 minus 5 by x plus 5. That gives us x squared plus 5x minus 5x plus minus 5x minus 25. Okay, so minus 5x and a minus by a plus gives us a minus. That gives us an answer here. You might recognize that we have like terms that are actually going to cancel because 5x minus 5x gives you 0. So therefore x squared minus 25 is the answer for this when we multiply out those two brackets. So are my factors giving me originally what I had? They are. So therefore the correct answer for this fully factorized is bracket x minus 5, bracket x plus 5. Now, you might ask yourself, do I have to do the rough work on this? You don't, but it might be worth pursuing if you're unsure if your answer is correct or not. Okay, that leads us on then to the second question, which is where we have x squared minus x and minus 6. So this is again a different rule. This is what we call a quadratic. So I know that this is a quadratic because I've got an x squared, an x, and I've got a number. Now the rules for quadratic are as follows. You're going to look at the first term, x squared, and you can see what multiplied by itself will give you x squared again. So in this case, it's going to be x multiplied by x. You then think about the 6, but your 6, if we think about it, 6 has a few factors. It is 1 bracket 6, or it could also be 2 bracket 3. So technically I could choose this one or this one. So we have to go through a process of elimination to decide on which is the best pair of factors to choose. Okay, so we'll put a question mark on that. We need to figure it out. Let's go back to the equation. We have x squared minus x minus 6. You might recall that when I'm choosing my pair of factors, I'm really trying to make sure that I will end up with a minus x here in the middle. When I multiply out my terms and I add them together, I'll end up with a minus x in the middle. So I suppose another thing that might catch you as well is that minus x, what's the number in front of the x? It is 1. So I'm just going to put a 1 in front of that to help us with that question. So that's minus 1x. Now, when choosing our values, remember, if we're trying to get the minus 1x, then it might be a good idea to look at these numbers and by a process of elimination, figure out which of these two numbers is more likely to get us to minus 1. Okay, so if it's 6 minus 1, that would give us 5. 6 plus 1 would give us 7. So therefore, I would say this one is unlikely. However, if we look at 3 plus 2, that gives us 5, and 3 minus 2 gives us 1. So that's pretty close. So how about we try this one? Okay, 3 and 2. Now, remember we said that to get x squared, it's what multiplied by itself gives x squared, x by x. So in other words, in this case here, it's 6. What numbers multiplied by itself gives minus 6 rather. So we have to have a minus on one of these numbers. But remember, when we put the minus down, it's got to give us the middle number here, minus 1x. So if I put a minus on the 2, that'd be 3 minus 2, which is a plus number, plus 1, which is no good. Therefore, it has to be a minus 3. Okay, we then cross multiply. Now, this is rough work. Again, rough work. And you're basically checking to see is when I cross multiply these values here, so this x here represents cross multiply. When I cross multiply them, will it give me minus 1x? So let's have a look at it. Follow the first one, x multiplied by minus 3. That gives us minus 3x. Second one, x multiplied by 2. X multiplied by 2 gives us 2x. So that's minus 3x plus 2x. Okay, why am I saying it's plus 2x? Because we assume it's a plus 2, because it's a positive number. So minus 3x plus 2x equals minus 1x. Have I got my original value? Okay, in the middle, minus 1x, I have. So I'm 100% sure at this stage that x, x and x are the correct factors, and minus 3 and 2 are the correct factors. But now remember, if we go back to what we know about factors and how we represent them, we should have a pair of factors, okay? So the pair of factors here, like for example, 1 multiplied by 6. So our final answer should be in brackets. And how we organize it is as follows. We work from left to right. So in brackets, x minus 3, x plus 2. And these are the correct factors of x squared minus 1x minus 6. How could I be 100% sure? What I could do is I could multiply out the two brackets and see that they give me the original equation, just like what I did in part B. Okay, and add on for this. Okay, often it will ask you the following. It says, hence solve, for example, x squared minus 1x minus 6 is equal to 0. Okay, so to solve that, again, what you have to do is you have to take your factors. Now, I could go through the whole process again of trying to figure out, well, what are the factors of this, but if you think about it, we've already done that work. We know that x minus 3 bracket x plus 2 equals 0. Okay, so these, to finish off this question, there's a special rule again. Okay, now these rules, it's a matter of practice, guys. Okay, you just need to sit down and practice question after question after question until you get so used to it that you can do it inside out. So we know that x minus 3 equals 0. Okay, so the rule is you take the first bracket and say it's equal to 0, or the second bracket, x plus 2 equals 0. Now, to finish this off, we want an actual value. So remember, whenever you're trying to solve a question, you want to find out what is the value for x. Okay, so in this case, x is equal to, you bring over the minus 3. When it goes over or under an equal to sign, it changes sign. So it's minus 3 becomes 3. And over here, x is equal to minus 2. Okay, I have now solved and got answers for x. X is either equal to 3 or x is equal to minus 2. Okay, so therefore they would be the answer for that. Okay, so that is factorization. If you have any questions, let me know. Again, I'm putting up questions on the Google Classroom, and I'm also going to assign some exam questions that I would like you to have a go at. Really, you need to make sure that you understand algebra really well, and then we can move on then to inequalities next, and hopefully help you out with that. Okay, best of luck with it.